Welcome back to the channel, guys. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to watch this video. This video is long overdue, so I apologize about the delay. I want to also preface this by saying I'm in no way an expert when it comes to adoption. I encourage anyone who watches this video to go out and do your own due diligence, do your own research, and formulate your own opinions as it pertains to adoption. Adoption is a very important decision to be making, and all I want to do is help guide that decision-making process along the way. This video was a lot of fun to make, and I thank everyone who reached out to me and sent me questions. I really hope I answered them. If you learned or take something away from the video, I encourage you to help me out by going and subscribing to my channel, liking this video, and sharing this video. I'm also going to be linking my other videos on adoption in the end credits or somewhere along this video. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first question says, we are in the process of adopting a 16-year-old boy from foster care. I would love any advice you have on helping him in transition into our home. We have a 2-year-old daughter, but no other teens. Any tips for us parents on how to make this easier for him? Anything that you like that your parents did or wish they had done? Thank you for the question. And honestly, I know it sounds cliche, but there really aren't any tips or tricks to help you with adopting when it comes to adopting. Whenever I was 15, all I wanted was a family and stability. Now every kid has a unique situation. Every kid has a different story. And those are things you do have to take into consideration when it comes to adopting. Now, when it comes to adopting an older kid, specifically a 16-year-old boy in your situation, I would say that there are situations where they may not be as receptive to being reprimanded. They may not be as receptive to just consequences in general, and those are things you do have to take into consideration when you are adopting. These kids have lived a lot of life, and it can be tough. And with anything in life, it's gonna be tough. To see the good, it's gonna take work, and it's not gonna be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be adopting a kid. But everybody's situation is different. I don't know your situation, and I don't know the kid's situation, but I do know if you are willing to adopt a kid, then I know that they are going to a great home and that you will be a great parent. You mentioned in your video that you were 15 when you really decided you wanted to be adopted. Was that not something you were interested in before the age of 15? And long story short, yes, it definitely was. When my brothers and I went back into foster care, my brother, specifically the oldest, decided that we were not going to try our hand at adoption and adopting anymore. He really felt hurt, and understandably so. So I didn't have a say in any of that. I was 12 at the time, and so I was also the youngest. So I definitely didn't have a say in that. And the foster care system tries its hardest to keep siblings together as close as they can, or in close proximity to one another. So that was definitely off the table at that point in time. So when the time came to where my older brothers were in the phases of transitioning, and one had already transitioned out of foster care, I took that as my opportunity to be adopted and to kind of make the executive decision and tell my caseworker what I wanted. And that's when I told him that I wanted to be adopted. I was 15, and my brothers were aging out, and so that made sense for me to do that. So that is why. Now, the third question says, having been in foster care at different ages, what can you tell us about what kids in foster care need/want at different ages? For example, if you remember when you were a little kid, say 6, what really mattered to you the most then? What was 6 like for you? What was ages 8 versus 12? I don't think that there is a one-off answer for that, for any specific age. Everyone is different, and that is the great thing about adopting a kid. You kind of don't really know how the kid will acclimate to you, to your family, to the home, and just to life outside of foster care in general. But I think at the end of the day, as long as a kid knows that they have a loving house, a bed to stay, and just some form of stability, that is the best thing that you could be doing for that kid. I don't want to generalize in any sort, but I think in some capacity, every kid within foster care has dealt with or deals with abandonment issues. And at the end of the day, you have to tell, when you are putting your name in for adoption, you're telling yourself, your family, your loved ones, that I am going to love whoever comes into my home. And I think that needs to be upheld to that kid, because you may be all that kid knows. And a kid's early developmental stages are some of the most important years of a human being's life, just in general. And if you're providing that stability, a loving home, and nurturing the child, I think that is the absolute best thing that you can give a kid, and that is the absolute number one thing that a kid needs, and probably doesn't even know that they want, but will appreciate it down the road. I promise you. We've tried to experience the worst and think, do we have what it takes to experience that? We've thought of what it'd be like to bring a child/teen into our home who is just angry, traumatized, etc., and shows that in various ways, from violence to just never accepting us, period. What advice would you give for managing the worst? I do appreciate you actually taking into consideration, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I think in a lot of situations, a lot of people only want to see the good, and they kind of detract from the bad. But it is important to take that in consideration when you are putting your name in the hat or signing up for adoption, because it is a very important decision. And what I'd say with that is, you don't want to fall into analysis paralysis, where you're kind of thinking about all the negative things, and you're thinking of oh, this could happen, what about this and this and this, and you find yourself never ever adopting because you're always thinking of all the bad things. And yes, it's good, but that shouldn't be the main topic on your mind. With anything in life, there's risk. But at the end of the day, if you are choosing to say you want to adopt a kid, that is you saying that, hey, I want to love whoever comes into my home, flaws and all. There are truly traumatized, angry, just sad kids in foster care, and they need love. But some of them have been so traumatized that they may close up, and that is just kind of what comes with that territory of adopting a kid. And I think as long as you are showing love, nurturing and guidance to that kid, that is the best thing that you can provide for that kid. And although it may be rejected from the kid, I promise you down the road that the kid or kids or teens will appreciate the love that you gave them, the guidance that you gave them. I promise you that. If you were to help us prepare for what's ahead, what are the hardest questions you would ask us? And honestly, I think the number one question I would ask would be, can you love someone who may not love you back? And I know that sounds intense, and that is definitely not always the case, but you have to remember, you are adopting a kid, and expectations kind of go out the window when it comes to adopting. I know a lot of parents have this mindset or this idea of a kid or teen that they want from the adoptive care system, but that's not always the case. You don't always get what you want. Obviously in life, but you have to ask yourself, are you willing to compromise those expectations just to love a kid? Are you willing to throw out all your expectations you have for a kid, for adopting a kid that just needs to be loved? If you ask my family, I am certainly not the little brother that my little brother wanted, nor my parents wanted. But that is the great and amazing thing about adoption. I mean, you just do not know who you're going to come across and who is going to change your life. So are you willing to throw out your expectations? Are you willing to love a kid who cannot love you back or does not know how to love you back yet? Those are probably two of the hardest questions that I'd probably throw on you and let you chew on and ponder. My husband and I are in the process of fostering an older child or sibling group. We have never adopted before, but have raised 2 biological kids and still have a 9-year-old at home. I'd like to know what made the transition easier for you or more difficult. As a parent, what could I do or not do to help an older child become part of the family? Also, we are Christians with strong faith. Do you have any comments on how to introduce an older child to faith without overwhelming them? Just being completely blunt with you, I don't think that there was anything easy about the process. There were a lot of growing pains with being plopped into being the middle sibling in a family. We just had to learn what the family dynamics look like. Adding another child that wasn't a child, that was a teenager. So that definitely came with a lot of learning how to live with each other. I would say with that, not all children are going to be as receptive to things that you try to instill in the household, and I would encourage you to help guide the child as best as you can. I don't know the age of the child, so I don't know how much life they've lived before they either get adopted by you or fostered by you. So that is something that you definitely have to lean on and understand. Now, when it comes to faith, I don't know if I have the best advice for that. I definitely knew who God was before I was adopted. I had a relationship with Him, or I at least knew of God and about Him. So I was definitely receptive to being introduced to Christianity and just being of faith in general. The main thing I would say and advise you for that is I think you would truly be doing the kid a disservice if you never introduced a religion to him and just kind of left it on the back burner. I think at the very minimum you need to at least introduce the kid to religion. I'm not saying you have to force anything on the kid, but at least introduce them and make them make the decision. And that's all you can do for them, for him or her. As an adoptive child, would you personally recommend older retired couples to adopt? I mean, short answer, I don't think that there is an age limit or should be an age limit on adopting. But what I will say about that is you know your limits as a human being and what you're capable of providing when it comes to adopting a kid. When you adopt a kid, you have expectations, but the kid has expectations also. You have no idea what those kids' expectations may be for being adopted. They may want someone who can, go outside and throw the ball with them for like hours on end. They may just be full of energy like that, or they may want someone who wants to go shopping or cooking or doing all these activities that if you are older may limit you. So I think those are things you definitely have to take into consideration when adopting if you are retired. But I don't think there is or should ever be an age limit on adopting children, because I think everyone needs a home. Next question says, what do you think about single moms adopting boys? Would a teen boy take a single mom seriously, or would they try to take advantage or railroad her? And to kind of base this off of the retiree couples question, I don't think that there should be a barrier of entry for adopting a child. But I know that you definitely have to take into consideration their expectations, being the child's, of what a home would look like when being adopted. Not having a father, it could be a pivotal piece in the child's development as they progress through life, and that's something that you definitely have to take into consideration. I'm not saying that you're not capable of raising a child. I see plenty of moms do it, but when it comes to what a kid may want, you definitely have to think about those things. A kid may hold resentment because there isn't a father there present, And they may not show it on the outside, but they may hold that inside. And that is definitely something that you have to think about when it comes to adopting. It sounds a bit mean, but you definitely have to take it in consideration. But I 100% encourage your journey as you go through adopting. I really hope that it's been well and that it's gone well for you. And I would love to hear an update on that. Single moms, shout out to you guys, because y'all are MVP. What was bonding with your parents like at an older age? And this is a very common question that I get. And I wish I could say it was like the movies. It definitely is not, spoiler. But what I will say is I have never ever doubted my parents' love for me. Although it was tough at the beginning, and there's still things that we're still learning to this day about each other. I can say every single day that I wake up that I never ever question the love that my parents have for me. They have never ever made me doubt that. So I will say that bonding with them, although it is tough and it is a learning process, it has been. I've never doubted that they would ever walk out of my life or not love me. Now, the last question says, why do foster kids go through so many foster homes? It sounds systematic. Are they bouncing kids around because they don't want them to bond with the foster family? I know many foster kids blame themselves, but statistically speaking, that just doesn't ring true. Can you help me find out why foster kids are bounced around? And honestly, that is a very great question. That's a question that I've honestly kind of asked myself going through foster care as a child. I was in about 15 different places from primary care up until high school. And I mean, that is not good for anybody. I believe where there is little stability, there is no stability for a kid, especially a kid who's being bounced around from home to home. And I think that is, although foster care is an absolutely great thing to have, there are a lot of systematic and just components of foster care that are flawed and need revision. And so I appreciate you at least noticing that. I think a kid needs stability. That is one of the most important things for a child's development. And when they're being bounced around from home to home, that's not. That can't possibly develop and produce. Like you have no wherewithal of stability when you can't even be in a place for more than 2 years. And what I'd say to that is foster care tries its hardest to keep kids in permanent homes and not move them around. But obviously with different agencies working with other different agencies, you get the whole spectrum of types of workers and types of people who are looking out for the best interests of the kids. As sad as that is to say, there are kids, or there are adults who work within these agencies who may not always be looking out for the kid. They're just trying to get a kid put somewhere. And so that's why foster homes are, the foster parent is aware 100% that a kid is only there temporary. But for kids, they don't really know that or understand that. And so it's extremely hard and systematically flawed that a kid gets stripped from a home just off on a random day. There are multiple accounts in my life that I remember literally sitting down at a random moment, and a caseworker comes in just on a surprise, and I'm whiffed off to another place. And yeah, there are many times that I cried in cars because I was like, I don't want to leave. Like why are we leaving? And for a kid, that is, you can't develop anything. And so that is something I really hope changes within foster care. I don't know how to solve that problem. I would say that we just honestly need to have more parents adopting, taking more kids out of that temporary housing and putting them in permanent housing, forever homes. I don't have a clear answer for a solution for that, but I do know that is the reason why kids are kind of bounced around and shuffled around The goal is to put them in a permanent home, but those are not always available to kids. And so that's why foster homes are the next best thing for kids. And I would say that a foster home in most situations would be better than a children's home. But I mean, there's all kinds of foster homes that have good parents, excellent parents, bad parents, and I mean, they're all kinds. But there are a lot of revisions that need to be made to foster care, and I really hope that some change can happen. This was such a fun video to make. I really appreciate all who stayed to the end. Like I said before, thank you to all who sent me questions. I really hope I answered your question. If I did, please link a follow-up down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your journey. If you have any more questions for me, I'd love to answer those. Just link them down in the comments, and I'll most likely be putting out a part 2 to this video. If you enjoyed the content, if you liked it, if you learned something, I encourage you to help me out. Again, subscribe to the channel. You really be doing me a big favor. But with all that being said, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a blessed day. Stay safe. Peace.